Number 1. In this question, you will be asked to give your opinion about a familiar topic. After you hear the question, you will have 15 seconds to prepare your response and 45 seconds to speak.
What is an important benefit that an employer can offer to make sure employees are happy and healthy? Explain your answer.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
Number 2. In this question, you will read a short passage about a campus situation and then listen to a talk on the same topic. You will then answer the question using the information from both the reading passage and the talk. After the question, you will have 30 seconds to prepare your response and 60 seconds. Read the passage from the paper. You have 50 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Now listen to the two people discussing the passage you just read.
Have you seen this letter, Anne?
The one about bringing food and beverages into the classroom? Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Nah, not so great.
Why not?
For starters, that part about better concentration. Can you imagine what the classroom will sound like with everyone munching and slurping away? Try concentrating with your neighbor crinkling chocolate wrappers in your ear. No one would be able to hear the lecturer, let alone concentrate.
Yeah, and it's not like the lessons last hours, is it? I suppose everyone can wait till after class to fill their bellies.
Exactly.
But her idea of having class parties during the last lesson of each semester sounds cool.
No, I have a problem with that too.
Why?
The last class is usually very important. Many lecturers go over key concepts before the exams. I think it is more important to review academic work during that lesson than waste it on parties. I don't think class spirit is more important than class achievement.
I get what you were saying, but I must say, a party would be fun.
The woman expresses her opinion about the proposal in the newspaper. Briefly summarize the proposal. Then state the woman's opinion and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
Number 3. Read the passage from the textbook. You have 50 seconds to read the passage. Begin reading now. Listen to part of a lecture in a psychology class.
Almost everyone's been through something really tough. Even though we sometimes anticipate some of these unhappy events, we don't feel as bad about them as much as we thought we would when the event finally does occur. And we don't feel as bad for as long as we thought we would either. This is called impact bias. And let me tell you my friend's story to illustrate this subject. My friend Jack had a relationship with his girlfriend for 5 years. One day, she decided to dump him. Before the fact, he said that her breaking up with him was probably the worst thing he could possibly imagine happening to him. That he would just curl up and die. He was so down, and he was sure that he would lose his will to live. But you know something? He found out different. Sure, he felt bad, but it wasn't the complete devastation that he'd anticipated. In fact, he said that after the shock wore off, there wasn't much left to feel. He found himself laughing at a joke a few days later, and was feeling pretty normal a week after. His life was readjusting, and the sense of loss wore off, and his emotional expectations in that regard became lower, and his needs became more basic. He told me he almost felt like being dumped was a good thing, as he wasn't quite as stressed or anxious as he was before. Now, he couldn't care less about some of these things that he was stressing out about before. He began to enjoy his freedom and wasn't as anxious about anything anymore. He never thought he'd be able to pick himself up and put his life back together again, but he did just that.
Using the main points and examples describe impact bias.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.
All right, everyone. So, in the last lecture, we talked about the causes of the decline of the newspaper. So, now, in this lecture, I'm going to discuss the development of the newspaper and 2 changes leading to the growth of the newspaper in the 19th and 20th centuries. Okay, so, The first change leading to the growth of the newspaper in the 19th and 20th centuries was how the paper was made. Before the late 19th century, paper was made from textile fibers like cotton and linen. These textile fibers were frequently taken from recycled rags. Although paper made from these textile fibers was reliable, it was extremely expensive to produce them. Companies wouldn't be able to afford to produce a large quantity of paper. However, by the 1860s, people figured out how to make paper from wood pulp, a type of fiber that can be extracted from wood. Compared to paper made from textile fibers, it was much cheaper to produce paper from wood pulp. So, this new invention made paper cheap, which meant that newspapers could be printed for reasonable prices. You get it? All right. The second change leading to the growth of the newspaper in the 19th and 20th centuries was the perfecting of the stereotyping process. Before the 19th century, people figured out how to easily reprint documents by creating a stereotype. A stereotype is a metal plate with letters on it. By reusing the same metal plate, printers could easily reprint the same document. However, they didn't create the stereotype for each page. So, if they wanted to reprint the same newspaper, they had to reset the stereotype for each page of the newspaper. This was extremely inefficient. But by the 19th century, printers started to create a metal plate for each complete page instead of resetting the type. This allowed for less difficulty in reprinting newspapers because the old stereotypes could be reused instead of setting the type each time.
Begin to prepare your response after the beep. Begin speaking after the beep.